Hey, this is Lonnie, and thanks for checking out my brand new segment called Ask Lonnie. This is a point where you, the public, get to ask me, Lonnie, about a financial question. And if you're lucky, I will then feature that question on my monthly newsletter. So if you have a financial question you need to get answered, all you simply have to do is email me at asklonnie@financialministries.org. That's asklonnie@financialministries.org. And if you do, you may have your question answered in my monthly newsletter. Now, this month's question is a little bit common, especially when I do a workshop and or seminar on credit. And the question is simply this: will cutting up and closing a credit card account hurt my credit? And that's a fair and legitimate question. The truth is, that question requires a little bit more explanation. So I'm going to explain to you what happens to your credit or credit score when you choose to close a credit card after you've paid it off. So sit back and check out this explanation. All right. So this month's question is, will closing a credit card account help my FICO score? And as I said in the intro, this is a very complicated question which doesn't have a very simple answer, but I will do my best to share with you what normally happens when you close a credit card. Now, one of the first things you got to understand is that your credit score is made up of 5 things. And of those 5 things, that's your uses of your credit and the limits that you have, right? That allows them to calculate what's called your credit utilization ratio. In other words, of the credit that you have available, how much of it are you using? So in other words, the more of your credit you're using, the lower your score tends to be. So if you have a $5,000 credit card limit, you want to keep your balances below 20% of the balance or 20% of the limit, right? So as you can see here, by looking at this study that was done, and it shows a correlation between the credit score and the credit usage. So over here on this end, someone using 100% of their credit, meaning they're maxed out at the limit, their score is around the 556 range, versus somebody using anywhere between 1 to 10% of their credit utilization score. So if you have a $5,000 limit on a card and you have a balance of about $500, that's a 10% usage. So that means that their credit score, as you can see, on average is a slight bit higher. Actually, 753 is a really, really good credit. So it really boils down to your credit utilization ratio and what happens if you close an account that you're no longer using. You're taking away some of the available credit, which is ultimately going to increase your credit utilization ratio on some of the other cards. I know I just said a lot and you still don't really understand what I'm talking about. So check this slide out. It says here, will closing a credit card help my FICO score? Let's say you have 3 credit cards. One card has a limit of $500, has a $500 balance with a $2,000 credit limit. You have another credit card that is unused, has a 0 balance, and has a limit of $3,000. You have a third credit card that has a $1,500 balance and a $1,500 limit. So this one's maxed out at 100%. So this is your scenario according to your credit utilization ratio. First of all, the total balance on all of the cards, right, equals $2,000. That's the $500, the $2,000 limit, and the $3,000 limit, right, on all of the cards. The total available credit you have is $6,500. That's all 3 cards' credit limits combined. So the total amount of credit that you're using is $2,000. The total amount of credit that you have available is $6,500. If you were to take the $2,000 balances that you have and divide it by the overall credit that you have available, which is $6,500, that means you're using about 30% of your credit utilization. So your credit utilization ratio is about 30%. And as you can remember from our chart here, about 30 to 40%, 31 to 40%, or 21 to 30%, you have about a 690 or 671 credit score. That's okay, decent credit, B paper, high B, maybe low A, you can still get some stuff, right? Now, let's look at another scenario. let's say you decide, you know what, I'm not using this card. I finally paid it off. It has a $3,000 limit, but a zero balance. So I'm going to pay it off and then I'm going to close it. Well, let's take a look and see what happens to your credit utilization ratio. Now, if you decide to close card number 2 because it's old and you don't use it, here's what your credit utilization will look like now. Remember, you still have the same $2,000 balances on those 2 credit cards that you're still trying to pay off. But you also took away the $3,000 limit that you had on the card that you closed. So now your limit has dropped to $3,500. That's the $2,000 card limit and the $1,500 card limit. Now look at your credit utilization ratio. Your credit utilization ratio is now at 57%. So that means that it makes it look like that you're using over half of the credit that you have available to you. And that, my friend, is when lenders start to freak out. So that's the answer to the question. Will shutting down a credit card and closing hurt my score? And the truth is, yes, it will. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that question. All right. Great. Hope you liked the question and even more so appreciate the answer. As you can see, it's not an easy question and there are a lot of things involved when it comes to your credit score and closing credit card accounts. Now, if you like this type of practical information that I just shared with you, then you may be interested in taking my online money management course called Money University. Money University is a 5-module money management course that I created to share practical tips and tools with you to help you get where you want to be financially. So if you're interested in this course or interested in signing up to this course, then go to the website called www.mymoneyuniversity.org. That's www.mymoneyuniversity.org. See you next time.